Welcome to the grind.
There's a 2-hour window I get to see my woman. There's a clock ticking on her, it ain't my friend. Work wasn't easy, but we've been fit. Oh, I'm home, and she's off to bed. Oh no, money, my baby liar.
Welcome everyone to the grind. I'm your host, Devin Murray. How was everyone's weekend? How'd you do? Did you do something fun? Yeah? Oh no, that's terrible. Oh, I hate to hear that. Or I could not be more thrilled for you, just depending on which is fitting. I had a great weekend. The Ole Miss Rebels pulled out a victory over the terrible Aggies from Texas A&M. I didn't put anything on Twitter. I wanted to take a step back this weekend. I only made 2 NBA bets. I hit both of them. I know. You don't want to hear it. I can show you proof. The 2 bets that I took were both on Saturday night. I took the Magic against the Lakers at plus 3.5, I think. And then I took the Rockets plus 2.5 against the Kings at home. And both of those teams won outright. Again, I don't think that the Kings are very good. I think that the Rockets are not terrible. And I thought that was just a terrible spot for the Lakers. That Clippers game was, like their Super Bowl, like their early season Super Bowl. And I didn't really understand why the Magic were getting points at home. Just seemed odd to me. So I hopped on both of those. They ended up winning. My biggest bet, I did like 5 times what I usually do. It was my biggest bet in a while. Was on the Rebels, minus 2.5. And they were walking in for a touchdown to go up 21-0. Got called back on a really, really ticky-tack holding call. And then we got another holding call. And then our field goal got blocked and they returned it for a touchdown. So instead of being 21-0 and me walking away with my 2.5, it was 14-7. And we were down 4 with like 5 minutes left, drove down and scored and won. And I ended up covering because Texas A&M missed a field goal because we blocked it just a little bit. So we got even there. My biggest bet in a while, big winner for ya boy. So I was pretty excited about that. Didn't really watch a lot of NBA this weekend. It was more, it's more of football. It's football season. It's chilly weather. And then I snuck out and went and caught the guest picker, actually, on College Game Day. Nate Bargatze was playing in town, and so I went and caught his show. I will say it's very impressive for someone to be that funny without ever swearing. And then yesterday I mainly watched NFL. I did go back and watch the Spurs game because although I didn't bet anything last night, the one game that did catch my eye was Spurs plus 4.5 at home. I thought that was a little weird. And they led the entire game. They were up 22, I think, at one point. And then they ended up losing in overtime. And so I went back and watched that and really keyed in on the fourth quarter because they were up, I think, 13 even in the fourth quarter and blew it. And I just really wanted to know, what happened? This is a young team. They're still figuring out what they've got. I wanted to know what was their downfall. Actually, I'm looking at my notes now, and they started off the quarter. Going into the fourth, they were up 15, got it up to 17 at the beginning of the quarter. And then it really came down to, I went through and made notes on every single possession because I had an idea of what had happened. What would it look like for the Spurs to blow a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter after I checked the box score before I watched the game, right? And in my head, I thought, okay, probably a lot of threes from the Raptors, bad defense from the Spurs, and then a lot of Jeremy Sochan doing dumb stuff. See, I would have said a swear word right there, but I'm inspired by Nate. This is going to be a profanity-free podcast. I've tried not to be too profane on here just because I think it's weird with the way that Spotify and YouTube can track what you say Like I think it runs through their algorithm, and they're like, hey, there's a bunch of F words in here. And so I try to keep it clean, try to run a family show here. But that's what I was thinking going into watching the replay of the fourth quarter. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. A lot of threes. I would say most of them were good looks. There were a couple of opportunities that were off of offensive rebounds, but most of those offensive rebounds were earned. It was just a bad job boxing out by the Spurs, specifically Jeremy Sochan. And then I'm just not really sure what to think of the Spurs right now, because it wasn't until the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter, that they busted out the play that they destroyed the Suns with, which was, hey, Wemby, go stand in the lane for a second. We'll throw it up to your hands 11 feet in the air, and you can just throw it in the basket. There's just way too much Jeremy Sochan for me. Like, I don't understand what he does that's great. I don't understand what he does very well. I think that he's, for the responsibility that he needs to carry for this team, he's the worst player on this team. He's their weakest link. He's where this roster is glaringly flawed. Because I went through it. I've thought about it, and y'all tell me in the comments if you want me to do this. I wrote out, I have like multiple paragraphs about the fourth quarter, just going through it play by play, but I don't want to bore you guys, and it'll probably take me like 5-6 minutes to get through all of it, at least. But all of the good chances, even if they weren't points, even if it didn't result in points, all of the good chances ran through Wemby. None of them ran through Sochan. Like, Wemby had these little dump-off passes, like Zach Collins couldn't handle one of them. They missed a couple of layups. And, like, even whenever Sochan does drive in, like, his best kick-out option is kind of Wemby. Devin Vassell's out. So, as much as we've already seen Wemby, and he's a rookie, and he's getting a lot of playing time and a lot of touches and stuff, I feel like we still haven't even scratched the surface of just unleashing him. Like, get Sochan out of there. Like, run your best lineup. Out of their top 53 player lineups on plus minus, right? Jeremy Sochan is a part of 4 of those lineups. Wembanyama is a part of 16 of those lineups. That's your starting point guard who is a net negative. And even whenever they are a positive, all 4 of those lineups, you know how much those 3-player lineups, you know how much combined time they have on the court? 12! 12 minutes combined. Out of the 2-player lineup combinations on the Spurs this year, which there are 65 of, do you want to know where Jeremy Sochan and Victor Wembanyama rank? That 2-person lineup? Your starting center and your starting point guard? Out of 65 combinations, they rank 52nd playing together on the court. 52nd, right in between, or right before Champagnie and Branham. Their field goal percentage, again, out of 65 combinations, ranks 44th on field goal percentage. So with Victor Wembanyama, who is maybe the easiest get him a bucket guy that we've seen, maybe ever, and your starting point guard, you've got 40-something other combinations that get you better shots. Are you kidding me? If they had an actual starting point guard, someone of the caliber of starting point guard in this league, this team could be dangerous this year. Because here's the thing, the run that they went on in the second quarter to really separate things, they did it with Wembanyama on the bench. Now, part of that did kind of look like Toronto just breathed this sigh of release, like, oh, thank God this freak of nature is finally not on the court. But I kind of get the feeling that a lot of teams are going to feel that way. Like, oh, we can finally relax. And it's like, no, you can't, because there's still people that you have to worry about on the Spurs, especially if Devin Vassell can come back. Also, if you listen to whatever episode it was last week, I made a Scotty Barnes comment that if you think that he can be a dude in this league, you might need to get your head checked. Well, I think I might need to get my head checked, because I liked what I saw last couple games out of Scotty. He, if you've been following along the Scotty saga this year, he was taking these playmaker threes in the first 2 games, which is just not his game. And so the last couple of games, he's been taking these like spot up threes, little dribble handoffs where he's getting his feet set, he's not falling away. He's had a better shot selection, in my opinion. My cherry pick stat is Scotty Barnes is shooting 43% on 0 dribble 3-point attempts and under 35% on all other dribbling counts. So catch and shoot, dribble handoffs, that's what you want to see Scotty knocking down. That's what you want to see him taking. He hit a huge corner 3 last night on a drive and kick. That's kind of what you want to see him doing, in my opinion. Okay, that's enough of that. The only other thing I'll say is the Grizzlies won on the first game that I didn't bet on them. I thought that Bismack Biyombo was playing on Friday night. He was on the team officially. I guess he was getting his stuff unpacked. He wasn't listed like out for personal reasons on the injury report, and so I assumed that he was suiting up, and he didn't, and the Grizzlies lost in Portland on Friday night, but won last night, got their first win. I haven't gone back and watched it, but thank God it's over. All right, before we get to tonight, I will make one little note. I think that we're going to throttle off of betting every game. I'll still give you my opinion on every game, but we've got some evidence under our belts. There's going to be some lines that I don't really care for, or maybe I just don't have a good feel for it and don't want to throw any money away any more than I already do. So just get ready for that we're not going to have picks on every game every single night. But I don't think tonight is one of those nights. No. Because although we've got 12 games tonight to get through, I kind of like all these lines. And even more than liking all the lines is I went and saw where the money's coming in at and where the public's at, and I'm not all on one side on going down the line. I'm not a single party voter here. I've got some discrepancies, and so it's either going to be a really good night or it's going to be a really bad night. Okay, so first game of the night that we're going to talk about is the Golden State Warriors headed to Detroit to take on the Pistons. This line opened up at Warriors -6. It's anywhere from 6.5 to 7.5. Public loves the Warriors, and the sharp money seems to be coming in on the Pistons. The notable injury report here is Draymond is questionable with ankle soreness, and Jaden Ivey has been upgraded to questionable with some kind of illness. It doesn't expound upon that. This line seems a little high. One thing that I did go back and check, because I try to think of where teams are at, on what day of the week it is. And I went and checked last week. I was like, I wonder how, because spoiler alert, I took a lot of the home teams tonight. And so I wanted to go back last week and see, like, okay, are they, did home teams do well? Or did sleepy teams walk in on the road? And no, not really. Home teams kind of got slaughtered last week on Monday. So, last week was the first Monday of the season, and so we'll see if it kind of reverts back to the mean here. But my matchup to watch here, or I guess my X factor, if we need to label it, is going to be Asar Thompson. He's been one of the best perimeter defenders so far in the league already as a rookie. 6'6", a lot of length. He also just seems to get after it. Both of those Thompson twins, seem to have a little dog in him. If you check his X-ray, you can probably see a little pity in him, a little pity party. It'll be interesting to see if Draymond plays tonight, because this is a homecoming for Draymond from the area, went to Michigan State. So I went back and looked. Does Draymond play well against the Pistons? No, he does not. Not particularly. I think Golden State wins this game. I just feel like, especially if I can get it at 7, which I think that I can, I feel like that's a lot of points for a game that Golden State probably isn't super, super concerned about, and a game where the Pistons are probably trying to get back on track and use this as a measuring stick for where they are in the season. Give me the Pistons, +7. The more that I look at the depth charts, the more I don't like that pick. I just feel like 7's a lot. Of note, Monty Morris is still out, Alec Burks is out, Bogdanovich is still out, Joe Harris is out. And you just look at the names. Oh no. I think I've talked myself out of it. I don't think that there's anybody on the Pistons that's going to just be able to put up points, because they're just going to swarm. They're just going to swarm Cade. All right, it looks like I can get Warriors at -6.5. Are we really starting off like this, Dev? Are we really doing it like this? Felt so good. I'm just going to question myself the rest of the time now. All right, scratch that. New information has come to light, dude. We're taking the Warriors -6.5. Gosh, dang it. Maybe first half. Sorry, you're having to hear me talk this out in real time. I was not expecting to change my mind here. Nah, Warriors tend to be a third quarter team, huh? Probably not any value getting them at the half. Third quarter spread's only 1.5 though. That's an intriguing bet if you're into quarter bets. Not much juice on it either. Okay, check Twitter to see what I finalized that at. But I'm leaning Warriors now that I've seen the thing. Now that I've seen the light. All right, we got to get a move on. We got a lot of games tonight. Sorry, everybody. Next up, we've got the San Antonio Fighting Wembenyamas going to Indiana to play the Pacers. This opened up at Pacers -6.5. It's currently at Pacers -8 or -9, depending on where you're looking. And the bets, the squares and the sharps can't make up their mind. It's split pretty much 50-50 on both. There is one significant injury status that I'm going to wait on here. I'm leaning the Spurs pretty hard here. But Keldon Johnson is questionable. And you might think, Devin, are we really going to hold up a bet over whether or not Keldon Johnson is playing or not? Yeah, I think I am. After covering the whole Jeremy Sochan debacle and how much we don't trust him. But if Keldon Johnson's going to play, I'm definitely taking the Spurs. And if he doesn't play, I'm still leaning Spurs here. Check the Twitter at The Grind Podcast for final confirmation as always. All right, next up, we've got Mavericks at Orlando taking on the Magic. This opened up at Mavericks -1. It's now completely swung to Magic -1.5. All the way up to 4.5. Wow. The bets are about even, but a lot of the big money has seemed to come on to the Magic. Oh, don't like the way I said that. Pause. A lot of the big money, it seems to be coming in on the Magic side right now. And I believe that is because Luka is now appearing on the injury report as questionable. Kyrie was already there as questionable, as was Maxi Kleber, but I think Luka is a new development there. The Magic are also missing some guys. Wendell Carter Jr. is out, Markelle Fultz is still out, Gary Harris is out, Jonathan Isaac is questionable. Even with Luka playing here, I liked the Magic. I mean, I probably didn't like him at 4.5, but yeah, I think Luka's probably worth 3 points. So because the line's moving quite a bit, probably going to want to wait and see whether or not Luka is a scratch. But whatever the line ends up at, it'll reflect whether or not he's playing. And so I'm going to take the Magic tonight, whatever it probably ends up, unless it goes to like -6, which I don't see that happening. In Paulo, we trust, you know. Next up, we've got the Washington Wizards traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Sixers. This opened up Sixers -11. It's -11, -12, depending on where you're looking at. All the squares, most of the bets are on the Sixers here, and a good amount of the sharps are on the Wizards. And I think I like the sharp side here. I think I'm leaning Wizards. Why? 11 points is just a lot. It's a lot of points, especially if I can get it 11.5, which I'm sure that I can on my book. While the Wizards have lost the last few games, you know, they lost by 9 in Atlanta and lost by 7 in Miami. Hopefully this is the one game where the home team comes out and lays an egg. It's kind of what I'm hoping here, that the Sixers aren't worried about this game. The Wizards probably aren't any more worried about it from what I've seen from Jordan Poole. Did you know? I wonder if this has ever happened before. The Washington Wizards are the #1 pace team in the league. They just get there. They get straight into their bad shot and they move on. Who cares about working this thing around? It's worse than a coin flip, no matter who you get the ball to, no matter how open they are, no matter how guarded. So let's just get on with it. Next up, we've got the Bucks traveling to Brooklyn to take on the Nets, where the Bucks opened as 5-point favorites. It's somewhere between 4.5 and 5.5, and the sharp money and square money seems to be pretty split on this game as well. A couple injuries of note here on this game. On the Nets side, Nick Claxton's still out, Cam Johnson's out, Keon Johnson's out. Lonnie Walker has been upgraded to probable. And I'm just not sure that the Bucks should be favored against any somewhat competent team, especially not on the road on a Monday night. I like the Nets. If you've been listening, you know that I like the Nets. I've bet on them to have a pretty good season, for them to at least be in the play-in tournament and to make the playoffs. And as far as Cam Thomas goes, I guess I'm kind of a believer these days. I mean, this dude can go get you a bucket. And as bad as the Bucks defense has been all season, you're giving me points at home against pretty much anybody in the East that's not on the bottom of the barrel, and I'm going to take them over the Bucks at this point. Give me the Nets, +5. Of note there, Simmons didn't play on the back-to-back against the Celtics on Saturday night, but he's listed for available tonight. All right, next up we've got the Lakers traveling to Miami to take on the Heat. This opened up at Heat -1. It's still somewhere right around there. The public, for some reason, likes the Heat, and the sharps are all over the Lakers here. Now, the Lakers are missing some guys tonight. Jared Vanderbilt's out. Rui Hachimura's out. Jackson Hayes is out. Gabe Vincent's out. Jalen Hood-Schifino is out. But here's the thing. None of those guys have really played that great for the Lakers this year. So that just means that you're getting more Anthony Davis, more LeBron James. On the Heat side, Caleb Martin's out. Nikola Jovic is questionable, but other than that, they're all healthy, it seems. Jimmy is probable, so I'm assuming that he's going to play. This is your national game of the night. It's on NBA TV, and so I would expect Jimmy to play. I'm going to take the Lakers here. I think that LeBron likes beating Miami in Miami. And they lost in Orlando on Saturday night on their little Florida road trip. I like the front court matchup for the Lakers. I like the back court matchup for the Lakers. I think they win this game. Give me the Lakers plus 1.5. Next up, we've got the Clippers going to New York to take on the Knicks. This opened up at Knicks minus 1 point, and it's somewhere between Clippers minus 1, Knicks minus 1. And everybody seems to be all over the Clippers. And for good reason. The Knicks have not played well lately. The Clippers obviously have the James Harden trade. Harden is available tonight, is my understanding. RJ Barrett is questionable here. I don't like this spot, right, for the Clippers. I don't like this spot. I don't like the line. They're not getting a whole lot of points. But I do like the Clippers. I guess even with adding James Harden. And I don't like the Knicks. And I don't like what I've seen from Julius Randle. On the preseason tournament, I mentioned that things could go real south for the Knicks real quick this season if they don't get off to a good start and Julius Randle starts moping. Well, he did way more than mope the other night. If you didn't see that clip, oh man. Literally walks to half court while they score on the other end while the game is still within a possession. Just unbelievable because he was upset with Jalen Brunson's shot selection. So although I think that things may look a little bumpy with Harden trying to fit in tonight, he'll probably be on his best behavior. He likes to do that when he first comes into a new team, play well for a little bit, put on a good face, just happy to win. That's what he said. He doesn't care about scoring points. He's just happy to win. And so I'm going to be happy whenever they win tonight because I'm taking the Clippers plus 1 or minus 1, whatever I can get them at. Just put me with everybody else. All right, next up we've got the Utah Jazz coming to Chicago to play the Bulls, where the Bulls are favored by 4. Everybody loves the Jazz here. Significant portion of the bets and even more of the money is coming in on the Jazz. And I gotta say, this is a classic, for me anyway, this is a classic fade the money play. Alex Caruso is probable, and the Jazz just aren't that good. I don't think Jordan Clarkson's going to have a great game on the road. The Bulls lost a close one at home to Brooklyn and then went to Denver and got beat up on the second night of a back-to-back. I look for a little bounce back here against Utah. Give me the Bulls minus 5. Sorry, minus 4. Y'all just keep betting that line on down. That's fine by me. All right. Getting to the last set of games here. Last few games. Hawks in Oklahoma City taking on the Thunder. This opened up at Hawks minus 1. The line's kind of all over the place depending on where you're looking. Anywhere from Thunder minus 1.5 to Hawks minus 3.5. And again, it opened up at Hawks minus 1. And it looks like on my local book, it is Hawks minus 3.5, which is pretty high. I'm surprised that there's not more money on the Thunder catching some points at home. Let's take a look here at the injury report. And SGA has been upgraded to questionable. He's missed the last couple of games. Keontae Johnson is not playing, and Kenrich Williams is still out. I'm not sure why. I mean, I guess SGA being out is a big deal because I think maybe the Hawks are frauds. They're on a 4-game win streak, and it's a pretty impressive win streak if you're just looking at it on paper. They beat the Bucks in Milwaukee. They beat the T-Wolves at home. They beat Washington at home by 9. Ooh. And they just won on the road in New Orleans on Saturday. But Milwaukee's not who we thought they were. They were catching Minnesota in kind of a weird spot. We made money on that game. And New Orleans, as we've discussed many times, they're real thin right now. And other than SGA being out, the Thunder have some guys. They're pretty deep. I'm not sure where all this Hawks love is coming from. Are we that far removed from them losing in Charlotte? Are we that far removed from them losing at home to New York? Now, granted, they did have they had a chance to tie that game up late, but you are what your record says you are, and they are 4-2. So I guess people are just looking at number one team in the Southeast Division going to Oklahoma City. SGA's out. Give me the Hawks. Well, don't give me the Hawks. Give me the Thunder. Give me the Thunder. +1. Or no, I can get it at +3.5. Give me the Thunder +3.5. Are you kidding me? All right, next up we've got the unstoppable Boston Celtics, the team that I cannot bet correctly along with my Grizzlies, against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Celtics are favored by open up at 4. It's anywhere from 2.5 to 4. The public likes the T-Wolves, and the sharp money also. The sharp money's not as convinced on the Wolves. And I think that the reason that people are kind of on the Wolves is Derek White's out. Which, if I told you that last year, you probably wouldn't think that would move a line at all. But this year, that moves a line. Also, the T-Wolves are scrappy at home. They've got the number 1 defense in the league. They just knocked off the defending champion Denver Nuggets at home, I believe on Friday night. Or was that Thursday night? Either way, I look to continue my streak of calling upsets for the team's first loss of the season, and I think that the Celtics finally get a blemish on their record and fall to 5-1. Give me the T-Wolves +4. Next up, we've got the Kings back in Houston. Once again, they played on Saturday night. The Rockets won kind of going away, 18-point victory. And I look for them to do it again. The the Rockets are favored by 1.5. And all of the public money, all of the public money is on the Kings. There's a little bit of sharp money, small little percentage of sharp money coming in on the Rockets, but all of the money, all of the bets is coming in on the Kings. I guess they thought it was a fluke. People are going to have to wake up to, these are not last year's Houston Rockets. De'Aaron Fox is still out again with that right ankle sprain. Trey Lyles is still out. Amen Thompson's out. But other than that, you got a full Rocket squad. This is I don't think that this line is a fishy line of the night. This is just a rat. This is just a rat line. This is a bad line by Vegas, and everyone is just taking the bait. Not us. Not us. We're not getting caught in these traps. Give us the Rockets -1.5. All right, last game of the night. We've got the New Orleans Pelicans traveling to Denver, the Mile High City, to take on the Nuggets, where the Nuggets are favored by 6. All of the bets, all of the money is coming in on the Nuggets. Even more sharp money than public money is on the Nuggets. People hate. They hate the Pelicans here. They hate them. CJ McCollum's out with a right lung collapse. Najee Marshall's out. Jose Alvarado's out. Trey Murphy's still out. They've been thin for over a week now. And you know how that's gone for them? It hasn't gone too well. Spoiler alert. They're 2-2. They lost to Golden State at home. They lost to Atlanta at home. They beat a depleted Pistons team at home. And then they had to have a huge comeback in Oklahoma City. Meanwhile, for the most part, the Nuggets are just rolling along. They lost at Minnesota last week, but since then, beat Dallas at home, took care of Chicago at home, outclassed them. But I'm not sure if everyone checked the injury report. Jamal Murray's out. Now, granted, hey, what would this line be if Jamal Murray was in? I don't know. -9, -10? You think it'd be that high? But I'm getting that little fishy scent. Because I would think maybe this line should be 8 even without Jamal Murray. I mean, McCollum's out, plus there's no depth. So that means Dyson Daniels is going to have to step in at starting point guard with Jordan Hawkins backing him up. We all know how I feel about Jordan Hawkins. And as much as I do kind of want to take the Pelicans here, I'm not trusting Zion's conditioning at elevation. It's just not going to happen. Maybe he had a couple Rocky Mountain oysters. Maybe he's hanging a little low. I'm not seeing him getting too explosive. Their defense is bad. I don't know if they're going to be able to keep up with the ball movement. I mean, the Nuggets are just such a well-oiled machine. Yeah, they lost at Minnesota, but Minnesota has the #1 defense in the league. What'd you expect? The Pelicans, middle of the road. I know that all the money is on the Nuggets. I got to join them. I just can't see the Pelicans coming out and winning this game without CJ McCollum. I could totally see the Nuggets winning this game without Jamal Murray. It's pretty much that simple. All right, that's all of the games for tonight. If you're watching on the video stream on YouTube or on Spotify, I hope you enjoyed the new little graphics that I threw up. Hopefully we'll have that like all populated with shot charts and maybe some little highlights and whatnot on future episodes. Maybe a little cameo appearance by me. But I hope you enjoy those new graphics, give you something to look at. I don't want it to be like totally a video podcast because I'm sure that some people just listen to this in the car. I know that that's how I listen to most podcasts. And so I just kind of want it to be like a little supplemental information, nothing that you have to look at, but just some shot charts that are relevant whenever I'm talking, or maybe like, hey, here's some lineup stuff, or just whatever, just to give you some eye candy. Also, a programming note, tomorrow is Election Day. There are no NBA games tomorrow. So finally, I will be getting out to you guys the Over and Under Reaction podcast, either tomorrow or first thing on Wednesday morning. So, thanks for listening to this episode. Make sure you like or subscribe on whatever platform or podcast feed that you're listening on. Go follow us on Twitter at The Grind Podcast. Go follow us on Instagram at The Grind Podcast, I believe is what it's called. I haven't really put anything up there other than one shot chart, but I'm going to start linking some stuff and maybe chopping some stuff up into clips and whatnot. So make sure you're checking us out there as well. Share it with your friends and your family, and that one guy that you usually see whenever you're taking the trash out. Make sure that he knows about it. Good luck on your bets tonight. Make sure you check out on Twitter for final confirmation on all plays. Nothing matters unless it's said there, and then even then I might back out of it. No, I'm just kidding. I don't ever delete anything. I've thought about it. I've really wanted to delete some bets that have immediately gone against me as soon as I posted them, but I've kept them all. I've kept them all so far. So don't lose a bunch of money this week, because you're probably not going to win a bunch of money this week. It's the NBA. It's all rigged, but we're just here to have a little bit of fun. Thanks again for listening. I've been your host, Devin Murray. We'll see you next time on The Grind.
And she's off to bed. Oh no. Money